Okay, when you're watching this video here, you're going to do just as though I was teaching it up there in class, but the difference is sometimes I go too fast. Well, now you can pause the video or rewind it or whatever, okay? So there should be no more excuses as he's going too fast or I lose track of attention, okay? I mean, if you're going to use that as an excuse with the video, you're probably not going to pass the class because it's pretty easy to follow along, take notes, and then when I'm going through the examples, when you feel that you're ready to work on the assignment, you can stop the video and go work on it. You can work on. Okay? So simple as that. Okay, so the first thing says calculate the x and y intercepts of that equation. 4x minus 6y equals negative 24. So calculating the x and y intercepts, we make this table and put 0 for x, and then in the other part put 0 for y. You're going to put that on all these problems because you need to find the x and the y intercepts. Okay, here's what you don't do. You don't just put 4, you don't just put negative 6 and 4. Okay, you got to do some work. First off, if you have a minus in front of that number here, you need to make that plus negative. So now the equation says 4x plus negative 6y equals negative 24. Okay, so here's what we should do after that. We need to take this equation and write it down twice. Copy it down twice. So 4x plus negative 6y equals negative 24. And then write it again. Okay, so write that down twice. Now I'm going to go to this orange piece of scratch paper I have here. When I go to an orange piece, you don't need to write anything down, just watch. Now if I have x at 0 here, to find what the y is, we'd parenthesize the x and just put a 0 in there. Well, what's 4 times 0? 4 times 0 is 0. So you can get that out of there. Okay? So really, when I see that x is 0, I can take x out of the equation. Okay? And then I dot the negative 6y, circle it, and then I just divide both sides then by negative 6. Okay? Negative 6 cancel. I take negative 24 divided by negative 6, so that's 4. So I go ahead and put 4 right here. Okay, now to find the second one, I'm finding the x when the y is 0. Okay, so if y is 0, scratch paper, I put 0 over the y, and 6 times 0 is 0. So I end up with 4 times x equals negative 24. So when I'm doing this on my own, if I see that y is 0, we're able to scribble out the y variable. It's like it's not even there. Okay, so I dot the 4x, circle it, divide both sides by 4. And then negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. Okay, and this is your answer right here. Okay, 3x minus y equals negative 9. Now when you're doing this, both the x and y need to be covered by multiplying numbers. The x is covered with a 3, the y needs to be covered with a 1 if it doesn't have anything. And make that minus plus negative. So write that down twice. 3x plus negative 1y equals negative 9. If you're too lazy to write that down over here, I really don't know what to say to you other than you got problems. 3x plus negative 1y equals negative 9. So if x is 0, we can get rid of 3x. Dot your negative 1y and circle it, and then divide both sides by negative 1. So negative 9 divided by negative 1 is just positive 9, so I put 9 here. Then here, if the y is 0, we scribble out the negative 1y. And to solve for x, we dot it and circle it, and then divide both sides by 3. So negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. 2x plus 8y equals 24. Okay, pretty well set up. There's no minus. Both the variables are covered, so I write 2x plus 8y equals 24. So if x is 0, get 2x out of there. If y is, and then dot your 8y. Divide by 8, divide by 8. 24 divided by 8 equals 3, so I put 3 for y, because when I take the x out, x is 0 means the x can be eliminated. And if y is 0, that means the y can be eliminated. Okay, now I divide. Divide by 2, cross it out, divide by 2. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So that's your x and y intercepts. 5x minus 2y equals negative 10. Okay, I don't like that minus, that's right there, so make it plus negative. And then I write the equation down twice. So 5x plus negative 2y equals negative 10. And again, 5x plus negative 2y equals negative 10. Okay, so if x is 0, we scribble out 5x. Dot your y with its multiplier, and then divide both sides by negative 2. Negative 10 divided by negative 2 equals 5, so y equals 5. Okay, if y is 0, you can get your negative 2y out of there. So dot your 5x, circle it, and divide both sides by 5. Negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. Five x minus y equals negative 20. First off, on that y needs a multiplying number, so we use a 1 if it does not have one. So minus 1 is plus negative 1. So you just take that equation and copy it down. 5x plus negative 1y equals negative 20. So if x is 0, we can get rid of 5x. Dot your multiplier on the y and circle it, and then divide both sides by the negative 1. Negative 20 divided by negative 1 is 20. And if y is 0, get rid of y, dot your x, circle it, and then divide by 5, divide by 5. Negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. Okay, 0, 0. So 5x plus negative 5, 4x plus negative 5y equals negative 40. Make that plus negative. Now over here, you write 4x plus negative 5y equals negative 40. And 4x plus negative 5y equals negative 40. Okay, so if x is 0, we can get rid of 4x. So to solve for the y, we dot its multiplier and circle that term. And all I need to do is divide by negative 5. So divide by negative 5. Negative 40 divided by negative 5 is positive 8. So 8. Now if y is 0, you can get rid of your negative 5y. Dot your x and circle it. And then 4 times x equals negative 40, so I divide by 4. Divide by 4, and negative 40 divided by 4 is negative 10, so x equals negative 10. Okay, next one. Negative x minus y equals negative 7. Well, this doesn't look good. They don't have multipliers. They're not covered. So that's covered with a 1, and that's covered with a 1. So make the minus plus negative. So I have negative 1x plus negative 7y equals negative 7. Okay, so if x is 0, we can get rid of negative 1x. Dot your multiplying number, circle it, and divide by negative 1. Those cancel. Negative 7 divided by negative 1 is 7. Okay, now if y is 0, we get rid of the negative 1y. We dot that and circle it. Divide both sides by negative 1. Negative 1. So negative 7 divided by negative 1 is 7. Okay, 10x minus y equals negative 30. So the y needs to be covered. It's going to be covered by a 1. Make it plus negative 1. Try to fit that in there. So it's 10x plus negative 1y equals negative 30. Okay, so if x is 0, you can eliminate your 10x. Dot that and circle it, and then divide both sides by your negative 1. Cancels. Negative 30 divided by negative 1 is positive 30. Okay, so if y is 0, get rid of negative 1y. Dot your x, circle it, and divide by 10. And negative 30 divided by 10 is negative 3. All right, you got the rest of them.